what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy it.
Let's talk Jaden Daniels. Jake, I said on the show last night, I don't know, man. I when I watch that game, Jaden Daniels does not jump out as the problem to me. I mean, the things that I would say that I would lay at his feet, just like at first blush, and I got to watch film and figure out some of those zone reads could have been made. He could have had a better read on when to pull it or not. Certainly things like you can't take the sack on the 4th and 1 from the goal line.
Yeah.
Right, because like one of the reasons why you're going for it is because you're like, hey, if we're gonna get it there on the 1, right? And then all of a sudden, no, they're on the 11, and you take away like one of the main advantages why you went for it in the first place. So it just again, I guess bottom line, it was not perfect, but when I look at the laundry list of issues to be fixed, my problems are much more with coaching, crucial errors, lack of effort. Is that game different if Garrett Nussmeier's in there, right? I don't think so, but you know, I guess you don't have to believe that. What was your take on Jaden?
The one thing I would say that I was surprised by was the chemistry he didn't have with his receivers.
Yeah.
Him and Neighbors were never on the same page. Like every time
true.
that he threw it to Neighbors, like there was a hand signal from one or the other, like go up, throw it up, go here, stop here. That was surprising. I mean, they've been together a while now, and they've had a great rapport, obviously. 1,000-yard season last year for Malik. That was surprising to me, is the fact that they felt like they were on a different page all night long. I mean, even the interception, Malik slips down, and that's not something that I had on the bingo card coming in. So that was surprising to me. Kyron Lacey had some big plays in the game, but also another crucial third down drop. And so, like, it's just the connection that you felt. Yeah.
Brian Thomas had that.
Well, the connection that you felt like it was there. Brian Thomas, was it the last play of the third quarter?
Yeah.
The one they go down the sideline?
Yeah.
You should make that 1,000 times. I get it. But that is a more difficult catch than the one that Lacey on the slant, put it on the money. The offensive line gave you all day on that play. And so the connection that wasn't there was maybe the most surprising thing, because it had been, I mean, Taylor, you've been in training camp as much as I have. Like, that never showed up in training camp, was them being on a different page.
No, it didn't. I mean, we saw it in like the 7-on-7, the 11-on-11. Like, Jaden would throw it to the spot. They'd cut behind the end zone. I mean, behind the DBs. Like, they were there. And really the only guy, like you said, like, he had chemistry with Mason Taylor. But outside of that, like, what did you have? And you mentioned it, like, yeah, it was a bad throw in the end zone. Neighbors wanted it high. He basically hit the DB in the back. Like, Thomas had to catch that, but again, a little bit of a bad throw there. It's like you got to be on the same page.
He did have at times he did have some accuracy issues with it just being not placed as well as you would expect out of what you want out of like an elite quarterback.
But going back to
Jaden entering the
going back to T-Bob's point, though, I mean, there were certainly plays that he made in the game, and the reason you lost that game was not quarterback.
That's my point. Like, that's the only reason you were in it in a lot of ways. Like, yeah. I mean, I guess that's the entire point. The reason is not, and it sounds really like, well, how's it not the most important position on the field? Well, because you look up and he's the only one that kind of consistently played well the entire night.
The questions that we had before the game, I would say the two biggest questions that we had. Now, there's certainly other things, and we hadn't even talked about the muff punt yet again. But the two things that we were worried about were the defensive backs in Florida State's passing game. Well, they threw for 359 and 4 tuds. All right. LSU getting a rush on the quarterback. LSU did not have a sack in the game.
I did like Braden Swinson.
Hey.
If we're just like, you want to throw one little positive little ray of sunshine in there? I thought Braden Swinson showed up.
Well, then
he played.
And Mekhi Wingo,
played.
the first half, I mean, he lived in Florida State's backfield.
Yeah.
But what did Florida State do in the second half? They're like, okay, 18's not beating us, and they started double teaming him almost every play.
Yeah.
Almost every play he saw a double team, and they were daring the other tackle. Now it was a bunch of different guys rotating in there. Hey, go win your one-on-one battle, and they didn't as effective as Wingo did in the first half.
Is this fair to say? I'd be very interested to see what the two quarterbacks would be like if in a hypothetical world where you switch coaching staffs. You know what I'm saying? Like I just feel that, and I don't exactly. Again, this is going to take like deep film review to try to really flesh out this point and see if I really feel it. But for the second year in a row, Florida State just felt so much more multiple and threatening when it came not just play execution but play design, right? Like LSU felt very boring in a lot of ways. Is that fair or no? I mean, I don't know. I'm asking you.
Again, just like you said, I'd have to go back and I'd have to see. I mean, I know right off the top, the stuff when it was short yardage situations just felt forced. You know what I mean? Like it felt forced, almost like you knew what you were going to call before the game and you had a game plan ready to go, and it didn't have a feel to it.
Yeah.
Like almost like, all right, play one, we get in 4th and 1, we're going to run this. And sometimes that's okay. It's okay to have an idea and have a script, but also like you have to have a feel for the game and a feel for what they're doing and where they're getting penetration and all those type of things. And so just off the surface, that stood out to me. And again, like our film that we used every single week is not yet loaded, but I want to go back just like you and I want to check it out because, I mean, there were times where it just felt like, I think stale is probably the best word that I would
Very
use.
stale, very old. I didn't see a lot of like pre-snap manipulation, maybe in a lot of the same ways that you saw FSU. It feels like LSU avoids the middle of the field quite a bit, which I mean, that's always going to make it tough to be explosive. That's where a lot of that can happen. Yeah. So I think a fully fleshed out. But again, so you can have your own separate Jaden conversation, and there's going to be like valid points to be had on both sides. The problem is, I feel like you're talking about the flat tire in your car while your house is on fire behind you. Like that's more of my issue with it. It's like, you know what pisses me off? The fact that you look up in the box score and all the statistics are essentially equal, and you lost that bad. Why did you lose that bad? Situational football. What does situational football reflect on? Coaching, preparedness, right? Like you have obviously the 4th down plays. What did Florida State do when they got 4-2? They basically scored a touchdown. You went 0-2 in those situations. 0-3, but you get what I'm saying. Like goal, red zone, 4th down situations. The bad special teams play rearing its ugly head once again. I mean, not even a whiff of a threat on when you try to return the ball.
And then quickly, not to cut you off, T,
No,
but
no,
then the quickly, like you muffed one punt, and it was just like quickly, like, all right, well, let's go back to it. Let's go back to putting, our fair catch guy back there, and let's just fair catch it. It's like, whoa,
well, no,
man.
you started with him, but fair catch guy decided to lay out to catch the first one. He's like, no, maybe show the other. Nope, no go that.
And then
either.
even at the end of the game, because Aaron Anderson had brought a couple of different kickoff returns out and just didn't have it. Did not have the juice that we saw in practice over and over again. So Clayton ends up going in there and kickoff return as well.
3rd down, that's another one that reflects on situational football.
That's 2 years in a row. Florida State's just owned 3rd down.
Yeah, and to me, that's coaching. Like that's when you have like Jake. Okay, I don't know. Bring us in on the NFL perspective. Like how much time do y'all spend on 3rd down putting together the 3rd down package? Like that's when you have your best lined up and ready to go every the second year in a row. Florida State goes 9-14. LSU goes 3-10. Their execution, their calls, their entire demeanor on 3rd down was multiple orders of magnitude better than you.
3rd down in the NFL is all day Thursday.
Yeah.
The entire day is nothing but 3rd down. So on Wednesday, you'll have 2 downs, 1st and 2nd down, your early game. And then you have a full day where it's nothing but 3rd downs on Thursday. And then Friday, once you go like on air, it's supposed to be fast, you do 70% of sub stuff. So 3rd downs again, about 70% of the time. I mean, they call it the money down for a reason.
Yeah.
And that's 2 years in a row. Like if we add in that 4th down that Florida State converted, they were 10 of 15.
Yeah, and if we add in LSU's over 3 on 4th down, they were 3 of 13.
Big difference. It's the story of the game.
And at least last year, though, they started like 9 of 10 and then went like 1 of 8 in the second half. And that's exactly why coming out of that half, we're all down one. Like, you only know his hands. I mean, Matt House. They're going to make the adjustments for sure, right? No, for sure. They did not. FSU did. So, again, like, we can talk all we want about quarterback, and this is Jaden Daniels' fault, but I just don't agree. I think this is on the coaching staff more than anybody else. And again, we'll get to Brian Kelly eventually. If you think I'm being harsh, he tells you the exact same thing in the postgame. It just did not look like a team that was ready to play. It looked like a team that's been sucking its own headlines the entire offseason. Whereas Florida State looked like a team that had something to prove, wanted to make a statement on the big stage. LSU didn't look up to it. Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.